A lot of people, I'm included, and President Biden also, think that a lot of it is about racism and sexism. And those are the reasons that you really lost, not because of the time thing. What do you say to that? Do you think this country will ever elect a woman president? In my lifetime, probably not.
I beg to differ. I believe that we will. And listen, you know this, and I've been honored to be on this show many times and talk with this esteemed group. Every office I've held, I've been the first.
Yeah.
Usually the first woman, and then often the first woman and the first person of color. The only time actually I was the second, when I was the second Black woman ever elected to the United States Senate in its hundreds of years history. So I'm not naive. Race and gender do play a factor in some people's minds about how they vote. But my history tells me, because I have been the first in all of those, that people ultimately want to know that this is the best person to do the job, and that's their focus, and that's how I've always run. I've never run as a woman or as a person of color.
But you and Hillary
I have
Clinton,
run because I believe I'm the best to do the job.
Hold on, let me go.
All right.
We're coming right back with more.
I gotta give Kamala Harris credit, and this is just me being objective, right? And being objective, you can have your opinion about how you feel about somebody, about whether or not they deserve to be president, or even when it comes to your political beliefs or your convictions spiritually, so on and so forth, who you think is going to be the best person for the job. I know, not even I think, I know we got it right when it came to electing Trump and going back to traditional American values, looking at things from a business perspective, downsizing the government, removing the ability from people to go into other people's bathrooms that don't need to be there, and so on and so forth. But I gotta be objective enough to say that she is absolutely 100% right and putting these women in the view in their place, and she did it the right way. She did it the right way. She just straight up told them, listen, there may be some people that plays a factor and a role in determining whether or not they're going to vote. However, I believe that most people voted based off of who they felt like was best for the job. And in any situation, y'all got to stop running and being a victim, a perceived victim. Everything is not racist. Everything is not sexism. If people believed that the best person for the job was Trump and he won, he was the best person for the job. But she's absolutely right in that people voted based off of that, not based off of gender or sexism. It's not that. And I'm so tired. Liberals, stop. Just stop. If you win, then it's your first. If you lose, then everybody is racist and sexist. That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? You can't operate like that in the highest level, whether you a CEO, you looking to be president of the United States of America, governor, mayor, whatever. We got to stop with all of the first. Like, that should have ended once you got Obama in office, because now you can remove the whole racism situation. Because if that was the case, then Obama would have never got in office in the first place, especially with a name like Barack Hussein Obama, right? And so they always want to make an excuse, and they want to turn y'all against each other because it's easy for them to monetize from that lens. The reality is that she did answer the question the right way. She hit the nail on the head. I'm going to give her credit for that because I'm objective in being able to do so. Do I think that she was the best person for the job? No, I don't think that she was the best person for the job, but I respect the fact that she said she ran, or she was expecting to win, or she ran a race based off of feeling like she was the best person for the job. Whether she believe it or not, it doesn't matter. What she says, I'm only taking it at face value, and I think that she's 100% correct. And she's right to put the chicks from The View in their place respectfully.
With Kamala Harris.
Let's pick it up.
According to an NBC poll, on issues like the border, cost of living, the perception of crime, 43% of Americans felt like Joe Biden's policies had personally hurt them. Understanding that many people saw you as an extension of Joe Biden, were there glaring warning signs that when there's only two options to vote on, that you missed going into Election Day?
You know, I write about it, as you all know, in the book, and I know that's probably the first chapter you read, is my chapter on The View. it really, the book is about a reflection. And that day in that interview, for me, really was symbolic of the issue. It did not create the issue, but it was symbolic of the issue, which is that I'm a loyal person. And I didn't fully appreciate how much people wanted to know there was a difference between me and President Biden. I thought it was obvious. And I didn't want to offer a difference in a way that would be received or suggested to be a criticism. And you know, in the campaign, full time I was pointing out the differences. My theory of the case was we need to bring costs down. We're going to extend the child tax credit. We're going to have Medicare cover home health care for people, including people in the sandwich generation who are raising young children and taking care of their parents. It was about we're going to take on price gouging, bringing down costs. And I thought I was making the point. And I realize now that I didn't fully appreciate that how much of an issue it was.
Yeah, that President.
So basically, what she's saying is she fumbled when she interviewed on The View, and she said, because some of y'all may not remember, I was fully engulfed in every single thing that happened in the presidential election, as I think everybody should be, regardless of whether you're a content creator or not. But what she's basically saying is she fumbled in her answer to be able to say specifically what's the difference between her and Biden, which I'm a little bit torn on that, honestly. And the reason that I am is because she was a part of his cabinet. She was his vice president, and she was president of the Senate, right? And so she was a tiebreaker that then determines what policy is passed and what policy isn't passed. Now, the whole loyalty issue is, and this is where I'm kind of conflicted, is because she's saying that she didn't basically want to throw him under the bus. However, there were some fundamental differences that she didn't capitalize off of to differentiate and separate herself from Biden, and that people didn't necessarily care for the way that he governed versus what her proposed agenda would have been had she become president of the United States of America. So I can respect the answer, but personally, I don't believe that there was much of a difference between her and Biden at all. I think that she is super liberal. Everything that she said, quite frankly, aligned with what it is that we've seen from the Biden administration. And more importantly, she did not, as the borders are, handle the border and close off the borders when it came to preventing illegal migrants from coming into this country, which was one of the biggest issues, I think, in American taxpayers' minds. Let's see if there's anything else we can mine out of this before we give our final thoughts.
Biden was deeply unpopular. I did realize that. And during your appearance, and you write about it, you say, everything about my appearance on The View was going well until it wasn't. And if you recall, you were here 28 days before the election. And I asked you if there was anything you would have done differently than President Biden during the past 4 years. And you said, quote, there is not a thing that comes to mind, end quote. You write you had no idea, you just pulled the pin on a hand grenade. In the moment, I knew. The Trump campaign weaponized your answer against you, my question. And some, including James Carville and Jake Tapper, point to that answer as a turning point in your candidacy. Do you think that moment tipped the election?
It was already gone.
No.
Good, because Sonny doesn't want to take the blame.
There was kind of a confessional happening here. No.
Solve you?
Exactly. No. There were many things. I mean, listen. I do believe one of the biggest deciders of the outcome of that election was that the American people were sick of things being so expensive.
Yes.
And wanted...
And inflation was out of control at about 10% during the time that Biden was in office and she was a vice president.
Wanted that the prices would come down. And that's where, this is part of why I wrote the book. which is let's remember in those 107 days what Donald Trump was talking about.
No, she wrote the book so that she can actually make some money. And she's going to make a lot of money. She probably got a pretty big advance as a result of it.
First of all, he said his number one priority and the number one thing he would do is bring down costs.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And I believe there are a lot of people who voted for him believing that that's what he would do. Fast forward to today.
Yeah. Hello.
Prices are higher, the cost of food is higher, inflation is higher, unemployment is higher. He lied.
Yeah.
Actually, it's so funny that she says that. And I'm going to review the rest of this on the Millionaire Morning Show, because we just had a jobs report that came out from Biden's final years in office, and it said that they had to revise the amount of jobs that was created. Almost 1,911,000 jobs had to be revised down as a result of the Biden administration. And also on top of that, Trump just been in office for not even a year, actually not even 9 months. I don't even believe it's been 9 months. Because he was inaugurated in January, so we can figure that out as a time of this recording. More importantly, Trump has had more commitments from jobs being created inside of the United States of America than ever before. Inflation is down, right, to around 2%, from 9 to 10%, and then higher depending on where you are inside of the United States of America. It takes time to build manufacturing plants. It takes time to get people out of this country. It takes time in order to implement policy like the H-1B visa changes that's been implemented now so that you can hire American workers. It takes time in order to get negotiations from these countries, from the tariff deals and all of that. It takes time in order to go through the Department of Government Efficiency, which the Biden administration actually propped up the numbers by hiring a bunch of government workers and leveraging taxpayer dollars in order to pay them for jobs that we didn't necessarily need, and serving other people outside of the United States of America. But we don't want to have a conversation about that. Trump never lied. He's been doing the work. And to be honest with you, I think that Americans and America is 10 times better off under Trump already than what we experienced over the last 4 years of Biden and Kamala Harris. So, y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Again, I'm going to cover this more on the Millionaire Morning Show. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley. 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see y'all on the show today.